The concrete is set, the studio gates are officially locked for good, and Arendelle has opened its doors. This past weekend, the second park at Disneyland Paris didn't just get a new land, it got a brand new soul. So we saw Spider-Man scaling the Eiffel Tower to reveal the new logo, the first ever Sunflower Festival in the streets of Arendelle, and a drone show that is truly incredible. So today we're breaking down if Disney Adventure World is the world-class destination we were promised, or is it still a work in progress? Welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle Live.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I
go! Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm Ben, and I'm really excited to talk about Disneyland Paris. It's been a long time since we've spoken about our home park, the one that's closest to us. But I'm not alone today. I'd like to welcome to the show Becca.
Hello.
And also Simon. I'm hoping, Simon, you can hear us.
I can hear you. Microphone all okay?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly.
Speakers all okay, finally.
Good old technical gremlins that happen as soon as you press just about to go live.
Yeah, indeed. It was couldn't hear anything through the headphones, so
no.
All sorted.
It's always difficult when you can't hear what we're saying. So yeah. let us know in the comments if there are any groundings. If something isn't right, I can try and fix it as we go on. So just a huge welcome to everyone that is joining us, whether you're joining us live here on YouTube or listen later on the podcast. Feel free to post in the comments any questions, and we'll try and answer before the end of the show. So, as I said, it's been a very big week for Disneyland Paris, as Walt Disney Studio Park is no more, as it's now renamed in Disney Adventure World. I'm still not sold on that name.
I'm getting more used to it.
Is it like
the more time goes on, the more I'm getting used to it?
The more you say it, the more you just like.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just going to be shortened to Adventure World.
Yeah,
but
what do you think, Simon?
I don't think you need the Disney bit in front of it, but
no,
it does feel a little bit generic, doesn't it?
But then I suppose it's a bit like Disney's Animal Kingdom, Disney's Magic Kingdom,
but
Disney's Hollywood Studios.
It's difficult, but when you think, I know we all said it before a few years ago on the podcast when we talked about Epic Universe, and we thought we all laughed at the name Epic, and it's been quite an epic opening year for Universal. So it's got a long way to go, I think.
Potential.
It's got potential. I think the more we hear about Disney Adventure World, I think the more we'll get used to it. And
I think that is all it is. It's just we don't like change. Like Disney Springs and Downtown Disney, and how long it took everyone to get used to that name change.
Like Hollywood Studios and MGM.
Exactly. There are still people now calling it MGM.
I think, people call it MGM because I think they want to show off that they were there when it was MGM.
They were there.
Yeah.
It shows off their age, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that as Claire and John aren't on the show tonight.
Although my dad still calls it MGM, and that's just because he can't remember the name Hollywood Studios.
That is true. He did get that confused with Universal as well when we were trying to plan the trip.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that Aerosmith was at Universal, but yeah, unfortunately, we've not been lucky enough to get to the opening week of Disney Adventure World ourselves, but I've been glued to all the content that's been shared on the socials. So, and we have some good friends of the show who have made it there and shared their thoughts on their channel. So after tonight's show, make sure you head over to the Kershaw's Adventures and check out what Gaz and Janoli got up to last week, because it really was. They got a chance to do the preview of World of Frozen and being able to experience what it's like before it opened last weekend. And then I know that they've been there the last few days to experience what it's like now the gates have finally opened. But I think before we get into that, I think there's a few news topics that I think we should talk about. So I think it's time to do the news. So I feel like we're repeating the same news segment every single week since January. And I know John's not here, and this topic is probably cropping up every week, but painting still continues at the Cinderella Castle.
It's the painting update.
It's just like watching paint dry, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's looking good.
Yeah.
Just daily
And then-
pictures of another bit painted, another bit done.
Yeah, another bit. Last time I saw, I think last week we mentioned that they were on the turrets. Now they've gone slightly further back. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like later, once it's finally finished.
Do
And
we know when it is going to finish?
they haven't said a finishing date. So this is Disney. So
Could be tomorrow. What you're telling
It
me?
could
It
happen.
could be tomorrow. Could be July.
also, how many coats are they going to need? Is this the first coat? Do they need how many? I have to admit, I haven't seen many cranes. A lot of people have been sharing pictures of the painting happening, and it's quite nice not to see cranes in the picture. Unlike a few years ago, when every year it would be for the castle, the dream lights to be put on, that all through August and September and October, you see all of the lights being put up.
Did like the lights.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know when I see the paint now. I'm always like, oh, that looks weird, because you kind of get used to the old paint scheme when they start changing it.
yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I think you'd walk when they were doing like the back of the castle first, and then to the front. So you walk at the front, it's like, oh, it just looks like they haven't done any work. But then you walk around the back, and it's just a different color.
You know, I hadn't realised how much I missed this new colour. New old
Oh,
colour.
from the original
Yeah.
color we had before the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to see what it's like afterwards. And as we're talking about construction and things changing in the park, more scrim and scaffolding has appeared in Hollywood Studios around Monstropolis.
Yeah, more stuff covered up, more stuff behind screen. It's exciting to see a lot of work going on. I kind of like seeing stuff happening, but I know it ends up that parks always look weird when they've got scaffolding out everywhere and construction going on and strange routes you have to walk around. But I think this is a good thing to be happening at.
It is. It feels like when something's happening in the park and that you can see it, you feel like money's being spent instead of just like, okay, we can't do this, we can't do that. It's just, it just feels, and I know sometimes it's, people are planning their once in a lifetime trip and you go there and there is pretty much just construction everywhere, lots of rides down, not your favourite ones open, all of that. It's difficult to try and stay positive. But for anyone who is on their first once in a lifetime trip, look forward to many more once in a lifetime trips.
All everyone has to remember is that the parks are in a constant state of evolution.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that does come with a bit of dust and noise.
Yeah, things do move on. Things do change. We want these latest attractions, but if there's something there that is being changed, updated, and I know that in the past week, the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin is now in its soft opening, with its official opening next week. So I've seen quite a few posts on social media of some very high scores. I'm not exactly sure what the top score is going to be, but it looks very good.
It's going to be over the 9999999.
Yeah, you'll be scoring over 1 million.
Ooh. Well, I won't be because I couldn't even score 9999999.
But you might get that this time. That might be the lowest score.
If I hit 9999999, I'm stopping.
Could you just say 1 million minus 1?
1 million minus 1. If I hit that, I'm stopping and then taking a picture.
Yeah. I'm with you. Are you looking forward to going back on that, Simon?
Yeah. I'm always there trying for the Galactic Hero. So.
Yeah, I know Claire's not here today because she's probably practicing for her trip next month.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I do have a couple of the stickers. I've got a couple of the stickers stuck on. Yeah. Because I don't know how many people knew to go and ask for them. If you photograph your score, go and ask for a sticker at the end.
That's what
I've
I
got
like
those
about
stuck on things.
What they're doing now is that it's part of the photo pass. So when you get your photo pass, it's on there so you can see the.
I always thought they were always missing the trick with that. Like there was no reason why they couldn't. They knew where you were sat, so
you always
no reason why they couldn't.
Take a photo on your phone and then it just flickers as you're taking it, and it just shows no score.
It flashes back to 0. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that. We've been on it so many times that when it's broken down, you're not sure whether to carry on shooting or not. One time I did, and the score kept going up. But another time, it's just like, no, it just didn't happen. But
They need to add that photo thing to Toy Story.
Toy Story, no.
Yeah. I need to prove to the world that I always beat you.
I want Toy Story Mania.
Yeah.
Okay.
The world always knows if Robin beats me because it's always on the Insta stories that she's beaten me.
Literally before you getting out of the exit and through the gift shop.
It's already shared that I've lost.
Yeah. So, one thing that surprised me today, I saw that there's a new ticket offer for summer, and I was a bit unsure because today is 1st of April. Could have this been an April Fool? But apparently it is true.
It seemed like that sort of day, right, where there was just I didn't get the sense there was a lot of April Fool's stuff. It certainly felt like there was less this year than I've seen before.
There's less, at least from the Disney space.
Yeah,
that I've seen.
It just meant that it was kind of hard to know whether some of the Disney stuff was like they toned back the joke a little bit, and it was a joke. But I think they've done this before, haven't they? The after 2 p.m. ticket slot.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember they used to do, was it an annual pass? So they used to do like an Epcot one for an after 4 p.m.
Yeah,
but it's quite interesting. So during the summer, from May, June, and July, you can get after 2 p.m. tickets. So it's either for 2 nights or for 3 nights, and it can't be the same park for 3 days. You've got to choose 2 or 3 different parks, and they start from $116 a person.
It's not bad, is it?
So if you're only going there for a few days, if you're doing a different sort of holiday and you don't want to spend out for a 14-day ticket, and if you're only doing like we were doing in September, going for a cruise and got a few days before and after, that's sort of like an ideal sort of deal than spending £400-500 each on a 14-day ticket you're not going to get the full benefit of.
Yeah. I mean, they're not dissimilar prices to the Halloween parties, and Christmas parties at the beginning of their run.
That's true. Yeah, they go from like
a couple of extra hours.
Well, never know
when the parks close. If they're closing at 10 o'clock, that's
probably getting about the same amount of hours.
That's 8 hours.
I know they're trying to capitalise if people might be doing bits of Universal. People might have been at Universal and maybe doing like a half day there, and they're trying to encourage people to come and do a little bit of the evening at Disney.
Yeah,
I don't know.
A good point. But I wonder also if it works for people, especially if someone's travelling down for a weekend. If you're spending a lot of the Friday travelling, then you're not going to get to like the afternoon. So, and if you want to go straight to the park then and have a lay-in on a Saturday and Sunday and make the most of the evenings in the parks.
It might be.
It
might end up being that the parks are absolutely rammed over summer though, because everybody's bought the after 2
everyone's bought their cheaper tickets, and it'll
be like Disneyland in California.
Will be dead.
Yeah, all the annual pass holders in Disneyland come out in the evening. It'll be the same here. Everybody's got after 2 p.m. tickets, so it'll be like a party day. It'll be like a party day every day.
Yep. It's just if you've got the 14-day ticket and you're out during the summer,
mornings.
Get rope drop. Go for rope drop.
Yeah.
And by 2 p.m. go for some lunch.
Yeah.
While everyone else goes in and maybe pop back in for the fireworks. I can imagine what fireworks and parades are going to be like in the evening.
No, thanks.
Especially Magic Kingdom. That's it'll be interesting. And last bit of news before we get into some Disneyland Paris stuff. Disney strengthens the DVC point rental rules, so defining commercial use and enforcement actions. So for the past year or so, Disney has been talking about if someone's renting points out, what is sort of allowed in their contract and what isn't allowed. So it's trying to prevent people, especially sort of companies that are taking advantage. And it's not like rental companies like DVC, resale market, third-party marketplaces. It's more people that are actually just buying a lot of points and just selling those on without using them. And I was looking through some of the different things that they're looking for. People that are booking multiple reservations over sort of overlapping days. So something that's clearly you're not going to be in 4 different reservations within the same week if you're going to be using your points.
I mean, you could be travelling with a large group of people.
You could be, but also it's one of those, if your name is on each individual one, and I think there's got to be a little common sense in it.
So they're probably more looking for the ones where you've got 4 over the same period of time and your name's not on every single one, because that would suggest you're selling it out to people.
Yeah, and I think it's consistency, because if we don't want to go one year, we can rent our points out.
But that'll be a one-off thing. It's people that are doing it consistently.
Yeah. And also it's being able to, who we choose to rent our points through, whether someone approaches us from Facebook or on a forum, or whether we go through the route of DVC rental store or David's vacation. So there's a few different options that we can do, because we're thinking of that in a few years' time. Maybe that we decide to have a year off and go to Disneyland Paris for a few weekends than doing Orlando. So there's a few different things that, and I think if anyone who's interested in more information on that, it was on DVC News. There was sort of .com. There was a big list of sort of what Disney have announced and what sort of repercussions, what things that Disney would do if that's something that they suspect you're doing.
Yeah, I know. It's the one thing with DVC, right, is that they just squeeze a little bit on things every year, right? The narrowing in on things that they know are areas where they lose money, right? I think ultimately the point to them is things like resale is always going to be something that is there in the background, and they need that to kind of keep their new sales buoyant as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword for them with that. But definitely the rental one is kind of, you can see where they want to go, that they're trying to push people into, well, if you're renting, why aren't you buying? So it's like squeeze the rental a bit to try and encourage people to buy.
And I think a lot of it has come from sort of owners themselves, where there's been so many resorts that you get to a point that you get to 11 months and you can't book your home resort because someone's booked so much of that resort or so much of other resorts that actually you're not getting what you paid for. And I think that's where all of this has stemmed from, and even when you get to 7 months, the only availability is like Saratoga Springs or Key West. And it's one of those ones that if you've got to guarantee a resort there, but then you look at on sort of the West Coast with Disneyland, that it's so difficult.
Impossible. If you don't have a way of directly booking, you can't get a 7 month booking.
Yeah.
I don't know how they'll ever back out of that problem in Disneyland, because they're really limited on resort space there. And even when they've built the extra tower for the Disneyland villas, it's not huge.
No, but it's just made it more popular as well. People like to book it. It's that difficult thing. We need more rooms, which hence you can see what's happening to fix a lot of that in Disney World with Lakeshore Lodge and all sort of like Riviera, quite a few recent resorts and the Polynesian Tower, that they don't have that opportunity in Disneyland just to like, we'll just build another tower. There's not the space to do that. They're able to do what they've done, but it doesn't add as much points to there as what the availability of what people want.
But it's pretty clear they feel there is a big future for them with DVC, right? And they're just trying to find ways of trying to shoehorn people more into.
I think it's because your contract is 40, 50 years if you look at new resorts, and it's like if you can lock someone into, not lock someone in, but just you've got that revenue for that amount of time.
You're going to get 50 years worth of park tickets and 50 years worth of food and merchandise opportunities.
Yeah,
and they're paying for an asset, right? The people are investing in it. They're basically paying for the thing to be built through their investment. So it's a good model for them, that. And then at the end of your contract, the ownership reverts back to Disney as well. So they reacquire the asset back. So it's a good model for them. But I think it has appeal, right, to a lot of people that holiday there regularly. Like most of us in the Disney community that are DVC members, we all know what the benefit of it feels like and how much we get out of it. So
that is true. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't.
We wouldn't all be members.
We could easily sell it. It's one of those things. And when I look at like the DVC resale news that came out about the $500 fee, so if from now if you buy a resale contract, there is an additional $500 fee added on for administrative purposes.
Yeah,
Disney.
You still do.
It has to be paid by the buyer, not the seller.
Still need to just do the math. That's probably still going to work out cheaper than buying a direct one.
Yeah, I have to admit, if we didn't have DVC, I don't think we'd have been as many times since COVID toward Disney World as much as we had before, especially when you look at the prices. The rack rate is just, shocking.
We're absolutely the same. I don't think we would go as frequently had we have not bought into DVC. I guess probably coming up like 13, 14 years since we bought into DVC. So, it's definitely not going to die out. Yeah, it's like a cult. It's been in a cult, right? But,
it is, yeah.
Did we cover the other?
Hurt anyone, so it's all good.
Did we cover the other news about the that change about Disney Springs buses?
No. Oh, I forgot about the controversial one. You need a not you. So this is over the next couple of weeks. That if you're going to Disney Springs and you want to use the bus transportation to go to a resort, you either need a hotel reservation or a dining reservation, or another sort of like booking for either dining or
recreation.
Yeah, so something else is booked. So if you like
Treddy Ranch or something.
Yeah, you've got something else booked that is linked to that resort. So do we think this is a one-off to stop people just going to Disney Springs and parking and then leaving the car there all day, free parking? I can go to the resorts, I can then get to a park, I mean,
I know some people do it.
Yeah. It sounds
sounds like a lot of faff just to get to Magic Kingdom.
Let us know in the comments for what you think. Do we think that this should be something that is rolled out constantly because
I think it's going to depend. If I'm staying on site at Riviera, can I still get a bus from Disney Springs to the Polynesian without a reservation at Polynesian because I'm still staying on site?
Yes. So I think that the requirements are you either need an active hotel reservation, a confirmed dining reservation at the resort you're going to, or a recreational activity booked. So as long as you've got any of those, you can use that. Yeah. And some of the bits I'd seen was saying it was only like a temporary thing that they were doing for the Easter period.
Yeah, cast members have been apparently saying that when they first rolled it, I think it was Sunday or Monday, and it was just like, okay, we'll just try it. This is something that's on a trial at the moment. And I think people have put it's Easter holidays, so people are putting the two and two together. But is this trial just because they expect to be busy?
How are they trialing it? Is there?
Well, before they're not doing it, but now they are.
Yeah, but how are they enforcing it? Are they asking you to show your ticket?
Room key for reservation or proof of your reservation.
Room key, magic band scan.
How long before they put a magic band or a scanner on the bus?
The thing, do they have the iPad, the portable iPads that they use, and the drivers are having to go around to everyone? Because I could walk onto the bus with an old ticket, old room key, wave it, say I've got.
It wouldn't say an active reservation though.
But that's only if they're not scanning it.
I think they are.
I think they are scanning it.
I think the approach they're doing is if you queue for a resort bus at Disney Springs, I think you will be as you join the queue, they will scan your magic band and let you in or not.
So they've got more
key,
people.
Magic band. So they've got cast members actually scanning and checking.
People.
Yeah,
hired more people. Well, if it gives more people.
Or they've redistributed other staff to go and. Other cast members to go and pick up that duty, right? But it does. It is a bit of a thing like that. We haven't seen that type of. We get the usual restrictions at the resorts, right? If you can't park at the resort unless you've got a reservation, you can't go and sit on the beach at the Polynesian at busy times if you're not staying there. There's those types of things, but it's the first time we've seen anything directly related to like some of the transport between.
Yeah,
like usually there's never any restriction on the transportation element, and I don't know whether it is about the transport or it's about trying to free up the parking availability at Disney Springs because it's always manic at Disney Springs. It's always busy down there. So
and especially when you think Easter weekend, it's a good way of testing it, especially if they do feel. Because I know that earlier this year they've had a few refurbs of the parking garages. So there was one where it was closed for quite a while. So I know that's reopened, but I'm wondering whether, as they go through the year, are there going to be other ones that need maintenance? Is this something that can then limit the amount of people that are parking there and then using the buses? Because in a weird way, by having the park having the resorts open for anyone to go to is somewhere someone else can go and spend money. But then the problem you've got is then they might not be spending money at those resorts. They might just be going, yes, they might get food, but actually that space is then blocking someone else getting to Disney Springs where they could spend even more money. So it's a difficult one, and it's interesting to see. And I'm sort of surprised they've not done this from like a security perspective. I know that before that a few years ago, they never used to have any security at Disney Springs, but now you have security sort of to get sort of like off the bus through security and then into Disney Springs. And even if you're walking through Saratoga.
And that's the crazy thing, right? It's not an easy route to do that, because you've got to go and park up, go through security, then walk to where the bus location is. It's not like a
and then get to a resort and then
pick as a priority. If you've got a reservation anyway, why wouldn't you just go and park directly at the resort? If you had a reservation,
it gives you the benefit of being at that resort. If you're driving, then you're going to go to that resort anyway.
Yeah,
and especially if it's one of the breakfasts, like the Epcot resorts, that they give you like 3 hours parking. There's like 3 hours, so you can go have your meal and then explore for a little bit, and then it's interesting, and it's I'm I want to see how it goes after this so-called trial and see whether it is something that
is to see why they're doing it, right? Because it might be a precursor to something else. Because it feels like you're targeting what feels like a small minority of people that use Disney Springs, and then they do a lot of hopping. I just don't feel like it's necessarily the first route that people would take, given that you can't even get that early a bus from there to get anywhere anyway.
Well, Disney Springs doesn't open until like 10 a.m.
Until 10 a.m.
So we once had the issue where we had a breakfast reservation booked at 10 a.m, but we were from Saratoga, so we walked around, but they wouldn't let us into Disney Springs until 10 a.m. So we had to run to like homecoming, because we were like going to be like 20 minutes late for our reservation, because you couldn't get into security and through it until the time that it was they let you book for. So
I agree with what Heather's saying, and I think they're standing by that, right? It's still saying that if you're on property, you're going to have access to it. But it's kind of like, it just feels like they're targeting what I think is a small group. And that for me is why I think maybe they're going to use that as a trial to how they can start to try and minimize and free up capacity for resort guests on other things or use it somewhere else. It just feels like it's a precursor of something else. I hope it's not paying for transport or anything like that.
Oh, no.
Keep it free. But you never know, do you? When they got rid of the Magical Express.
That's true. Did you hear about the news of Mears this week? Because of fuel prices going up, they're increasing the cost. There's an extra $1 per person on. So if you have booked or intending to book, the price is going to be increased due to fuel, which unfortunately is going to be something that's going to be quite. Personally, what's happening over the next few months, everyone's feeling that pinch. And petrol prices, someone's got to pay for it somewhere.
We're feeling it at home, right? Why wouldn't you feel it on your vacation as well?
That's true.
$1.53 at our local Sainsbury's.
Yeah,
well, I'm on diesel. I'm on a diesel car, so mine is even higher.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah.
All you need is someone with an electric car who's going like, "Oh, my energy bill has dropped," and
let's not talk about
those at work. So let's not talk about that too much.
I stopped my refill at £90 because I felt there was no way I can broach over the £100 to fill the tank on it.
No.
So I just called it quits at 90. But there we go.
Yep. So so I think before we move on the show, I want to just say a quick hello to everyone in the chat, because we haven't had a chance to do that yet. So from a week, I didn't think there was going to be much news, but it turned out to be quite a bit. So. First in, we had Heather. Hi, Heather. Hope you're doing well. We've also got Wendy, and Heather. I will call it MGM. Yeah, there's still some people that call it MGM Studios instead of Hollywood, and I'm guessing that is Robin. He's also joining. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to tonight's chat. So it's official as of the 29th of March. Walt Disney Studio Park is no more. So long live Disney Adventure World. So for 20 years, we've complained about this park feeling like a concrete parking lot with some rides scattered on top. So, but the first thing that stands out from everything that I've seen is that World Premier Plaza actually has a soul. There's something about it. Everything that I've seen from what we experienced. When was the last time we went to Disneyland Paris?
2022.
So it's been 4 years, nearly 4 years since we've been into what was Walt Disney Studios, and every time we went in there, it just didn't feel right. It was dark, loud, felt like a cafeteria. So now it's the Grand Theatre District. So they've opened up the sight lines as greenery everywhere and create this red carpet energy. So it feels like you're actually on a movie set, which actually goes back to like that studio feeling. But it's the first time in 2 decades that people are actually looking at the front of the park and going, this is inviting in, instead of just going, this is the park to the left of Disneyland Park.
Yeah, it's the other one over there.
Yeah.
We'll pop in there for Precious Coaster and Ratatouille and then leave.
Is it the half-day park? And that's the thing.
Well,
it will be, because you'll have to queue. You'll have to queue for.
You have to queue for hours to get in, so it will be a full day. But do you know what? I think
it will be eventually. Whether it is now, I don't know. I can't say because we haven't actually been there to do it, and we've yet to speak to people that have.
But I do have a map. So of Adventure World, it's not the best map, but there's more to it now than what there has been before. And I know we've not been there since they...
we haven't been there since before Avengers Campus opened.
Yeah. So and now you've got sort of Pixar Street on the right. You've got Adventure Way straight down the middle, which is now what I'd call its main street.
Yeah, it feels a bit more wheel and spoke. Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
Hub and
spoke. Yeah.
So... And it reminds me a little bit of Epcot with the lake, with the lagoon at the back. And what I've seen from sort of lots of people's sort of footage is that where you've got Frozen right at the back, there is so much space to the left and the right, where you're going to have Lion King. So we know that that's been announced, the Lion King expansion.
I hope they do a whole proper land on that, because that would be amazing.
Well, you've got the Splash Mountain equivalent.
Yeah, it would be nice to get some, themed restaurants and some savannah-y type
something.
Yeah, something.
Do you know what?
The good thing is just it's bigger.
Yeah.
It's on a better scale.
It doesn't feel like, because every time we went in studios, I thought, well, this is take a couple of hours, 3 hours for it. It was never a full day park where I
always felt like you walk somewhere to a dead end with the old park, and this feels more rounded, like you could walk from land to land, and a bit more how you would expect, how you see other Disney parks, how you see California Adventure, for instance.
Yeah.
It feels a bit more laid out in that way that, it just feels like a much better layout. And just the increased size of it, it will swallow much more people into that. And
when you look at sort of Adventure Way and just walking down that, it's a big space. It's huge. And I've seen that they've been starting to do the... not the Main Street Band, but the parades. So it was the mini and sort of musical. I can't remember the name of it. I will think of it when it will come. It will come to me. But it's a bit like the Main Street Philharmonic, but it's Disneyland Paris's equivalent. Has been walking down that pretty much through every video that I've seen of the opening of this park, and it's really interesting to see that. When you go back to looking at this picture of the map, how much space that they have gained at the back of the park. And I feel like it's into where in the previous sort of incarnation of Walt Disney Studios, it just felt so sort of disjointed.
Well, the previous incarnation, that whole back bit wasn't there. Anything past the lake didn't exist.
Yeah.
You couldn't get back there.
The old backlot. Yeah. Getting rid of the old backlot tour was like, it felt like it was, it always felt like a depressing version of a backlot, right? That had never seen, like an old abandoned film lot that had never seen anything, which is kind of what the reality of it was. But yeah, there's something that feels more glossy about what they've done with the park. Avengers Campus going in, Adventure Way, and the World of Frozen kind of just feels like a bit of a reinvigoration of that park. It just feels more glamorous. That's what it feels like, is a little bit of glamour back to that park, where it felt like it was like the colour was almost grey, like it was beige grey, like not a lot to see here.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It was that afterthought.
Yeah.
It was like, we have to build this park. We're not sure what to put in it, but let's build a park. Where with the investment that they've had, I think it was €2 billion that was announced several years ago. And I think we mentioned that in one of our first podcasts, what are Disney going to do with that sort of cash injection into what could they do? And I have to admit, everything from what I've seen, and I've got a few videos. One of them I want to show you, it was how it changed from Walt Disney Studios into Disney Adventure World.
Oh no!
I do like the new logo.
Yeah, I love that they've got an Eiffel Tower.
Oh, yeah, they kept their Eiffel Tower.
Unlike Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice highlight that, Spider-Man, it highlights the different areas that are in that park. And unlike Walt Disney World, that you can have Avengers Campus in Disneyland Paris, like you can in California.
Yay!
So I'm interested to see. I know there are more lands planned in that area. The rumor is that it's going to. There's a it always used to be was going to be World of Frozen, Star Wars, and Lion King. They were sort of the three. Star Wars has now sort of disappeared off that, and the rumor is that it's going to be Avatar, which I could see.
I want it to be something new. Franchise that they haven't used yet in any other park. Something brand new that's not just a copy and paste from other parks.
I'm happy to have an Avatar franchise if they do something different to what they do in Walt Disney World.
So you think maybe base it on Fire and Ash?
They've got other films. There's a lot more films.
The one in Walt Disney World is kind of based on just in general.
Yeah.
The one they're building in California seems like it's going to be based around the Way of Water.
Yeah. So yeah.
There is still the new Up attraction coming as well.
Yes,
so on Adventure Way, and so I'm not sure we've got anything that's proper up at any of the other parks.
No,
I went to see what it's like,
Kevin, but there's no attraction.
There's no attraction, so
yeah,
it'd be good to see what they do with that as well.
Yeah, I there's part of me feels that Toy Story Land in Disneyland Paris is okay, but I feel like it needs an update. And with that franchise being 30 years this year, I wouldn't be surprised if, as part of this park, that with other things happening, whether we'll have something that comes out of D23 or maybe some next few years, if that actually could do.
You know what I'd like? I'd like some of the actual French-based IP that Disney have to be more represented in the park. So Aristocats, that sort of thing. Just something.
Well, you've got Ratatouille.
Ratatouille is pretty French.
Yeah, but it's something, unique. Because now Ratatouille is over in Epcot as well.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Well, okay, so you want an Aristocat.
Yeah.
How about just a cat cafe?
Yeah, I'm with that.
A Disney cat cafe. Come and dine without the Aristocats.
Yeah. Oh, well, they've got, what was it on one of the Disney cruise ships? A bar.
Yeah, they've got Scat Cat's Lounge.
So, okay. Let us know in the comments if you think.
It doesn't have to be the Aristocats.
No, but what other things would you add to this park? If you could add something to a new park, which got a pretty sort of, I would say, blank canvas in a way of that there's room for expansion. And with World of Frozen, it doesn't seem to be an exact carbon copy of the one in Hong Kong. So they only have one attraction, which is Frozen Ever After. They've taken out because in Hong Kong you've got the
roller coaster
Oaken Sleigh, which is based on the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train attraction. It's pretty much the same as that. It's very short, but they've left that space open in there, so they could even expand World of Frozen. But everything I've seen of Frozen Ever After, everyone that I have sort of interacted with over social media about it has pretty much said it's like the one at Epcot, but better. It's a brand new attraction. They've been able to plus it.
I've updated the technology.
Technology is better. The ride, because it's not based on Maelstrom,
so
on that it's
probably a bit smoother.
Better screens, probably it's a slightly different story as well. So they focus on World of Frozen. The focus on it is on the Sunflower Festival. So instead of being a summer snow day, they've leaned into a Frozen fever aesthetic, which I think is quite good. So it keeps World of Frozen similar to it, but if you've gone to the one in Hong Kong, it's not like you don't have to go to the one in Disneyland Paris. It's nice that they're doing something slightly different.
It's funny you mentioned Hong Kong one, and that when you see the picture of the walkway up to that lagoon, there's something about that looks very Hong Kong Disneyland. I think the Art Nouveau styling of it looks, and I thought it reminds me of Hong Kong Disneyland styling. Some of the hotel theming they have there, and some of the lighting and paving design, it just looked very similar. Just had that same sort of vibe. I know it was mentioned in the chat about it giving World Showcase vibes, and I thought that it almost felt very Hong Kong theme park like. But yeah, I guess the one thing, and I think Hannah's mentioned it in the chat here as well. Whilst it's big, it doesn't have a lot of rides, right? There's only that one
in World of Frozen,
ride really in World of Frozen. So they've made quite a big deal out of it being a themed area.
Yep.
But they could do with that second attraction to bring a bit more to that area. I think that's just, I've not been to experience it or know what
there's a lot of space to the right from what I've seen, and because they don't have that attraction that was in Hong Kong, it's pretty much like a carbon copy of the aesthetics of everything before. It's just really interesting that they've chosen not to put that in, because part of me feels like Disney previously have always just, when they've bought another land from one place to another, literally just like, well, we'll pick that one up. We know how that works, and by removing a section, and when you think that I've seen the queues this week on the app show 200 minutes for Frozen Ever After, because it's the one main attraction. It's the main attraction that's there, and I have to admit, the other one.
World of Frozen. You've gone for World of Frozen, and we're going for the one ride that's in there. So it's going to be in demand.
Had they built another ride, some of those wait times would have been spread out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. Do we think it's opened too early, or is it something that we've set a date, we're going to open it, but we know there's lots more to come?
If they opened it early at the expense of a second attraction, yes.
Yeah.
If the plan was always just one, then probably not. I haven't been there to experience it, but from what I'm hearing, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. I think there are some things that I think they've done really well, and what I think is really good is the Olaf animatronic. And I know there's been an incident earlier this week.
Yes.
Olaf fainted.
Yeah, I would say fainted in the heat, but we're in France. We're not in Walt Disney World. But if this is the future of animatronics, not just being part of attractions, but being able to walk around and you to be able to experience and have this sort of interaction with, I think is amazing. It really is. The technology has moved so far on. Unfortunately, everyone probably watching or listening to this has seen that clip where Olaf faints and his carrot falls off.
It happens to the best of us.
It is one of those things, but I knowing how sort of the pressure to get something like that working consistently with the amount of technology that is in that being managed, being looked after, it's one of those, to a point, you need to get it out there working, being used, and you're never gonna. It's technology is always going to go wrong. Things are never smooth, but I'm quite excited to see how this technology can be used in future animatronics and where they go. And it's not just how he interacts; it's how he walks. I think just it's the mannerism of he walks like he does in the film. So it's not just like, oh, this is someone that's a snowman or dressed up like a snowman. This is an animatronic that is Olaf, that has that same mannerism, that if someone is watching the film, then they go to the world of Frozen and they queue up and see this interactive Olaf walking and reacting the same way. I just think it's amazing.
Yeah,
we did have a thought that I think the original plan was to have him walking out and about. But I think from a security perspective, I don't think he would last long if he wasn't
quite an expensive piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Equipment to get stolen.
Yeah,
it is a weird thing to think back to, like where some of this stuff came from, and it's like Push the talking trash can, right?
Yeah.
You go back to that, and it was like that's almost like the first generation of interactive kind of animatronic, like not really animatronic, but pretty basic robot trash can wheeling around, and it's got somebody doing voices behind it, But this is like bringing AI technology and a bit of NVIDIA futuristic stuff, and it's like it's becoming real next generation thinking.
Yeah.
So considering some of the stuff we've seen that came and went from the parks, Talking Mickey that came and went,
everything's building into technology and how things. I remember when we met Baymax in Epcot in, was it 2014, and then we went to Disneyland last year and met Talking Baymax. It was just amazing. It was, yes, the technology had moved on, and it was quite a different experience to actually talk to a character and have the response back.
Yeah,
where you're talking to a character that can't talk, and you're relying on the cast members or the friends,
body language,
to understand
gestures.
Yeah,
it is becoming like a real experience. It's not just an interactive ride; it's interactive character meets that bring a level of intelligence to how they interact with guests, and I think it's good to see that. I don't know whether it will play out in the way that they always intend to, whether they are always slightly restricted by, is too bleeding edge technology still for it to be readily usable how they might have originally intended it.
And I think that's
nice
the thing.
To see that. It's always nice to see.
When he was announced and you saw on stage, like the interaction, and in an ideal world, you probably could eventually have roaming animatronics. But I think there's going to be a time where, and I think we wouldn't be used to that yet as guests, because we would queue up for a meet and greet, or we would have. There are so many different ways of doing interactions with meet and greets, and how. But I'm quite excited what the future is going to bring and how that goes forward. I'm just reading Hannah's comment that at the minute, he's just going to be on the boat, and I'm guessing it's probably
not working as well as I would have liked.
Yeah.
Not quite ready
quite
yet.
Possibly. But talking of, World of Frozen has a show. So there is a boat show. So I'm hoping I can get this video to play.
Ta-da! We've arrived! You may now begin celebrating. I mean, with us, definitely with us.
Salut à tous, amis et visiteurs d'Arendelle. C'est une journée parfaite pour une célébration, non?
It's the Snowflower Festival, a day full of joy, decorations, hugs, and hopefully ice cream cake.
Bon, il est venu pour les gâteaux, d'accord. Mais surtout pour l'esprit du festival de la fleur de neige. Être tous ensemble.
And ice cream cake.
I love that. And to me, that looks like the animatronic. Just the way it's walking on the boat, and which is probably even more difficult than just walking on land. But
I struggle. I'm not an animatronic.
No, I'm impressed, and I'm looking forward to seeing. But there wasn't just World of Frozen was the land, but part of Adventure Way, there was another attraction which was a Tangled Spin. So it's actually it's Rapunzel's Tangled Spin. So it's a flat ride, a bit like the Mad Tea Party, Alien Swirling Saucers, but the way it's in Adventure Bay, it's with the lanterns from Tangled. So I've got a little video of that, and I think it just looks fun.
Waouh, ça décoiffe. Surtout restez bien assis jusqu'à l'arrêt complet de votre barque. Rassemblez vos affaires et rejoignez la sortie d'approche.
You don't like spinning rides?
No, but I don't mind that. That looks fun.
Until you go on it.
But
and
I've
not
seen
stand up.
video like that where it's in the evening, but also during the day, and it looks like a just different experience. Yes, I think if you want to get the full sort of Tangled experience with the lanterns lit up in that way, you're going to wait till the end of the night. You're going to wait till it goes dark. So during the summer months, I could imagine that a lot of people were spending the day in Disneyland Paris and a lot in studios and going to do World of Frozen. But towards the end of the sort of when the sun goes down, I think the queue for Tangled Spin is going to be quite long.
Yeah, I think it's a staple ride, right? It's a staple for Disney parks to have a teacup ride and spinning teacup style.
I think it's great that Rapunzel's finally got more than a bathroom.
Yeah.
Yes. Talking of, which we spoke quite in detail on our podcast that was out earlier today, where we spoke about Disney restrooms. So don't forget after you've watched today or listened to the show, don't forget to head over to your podcast app or on YouTube to check out our latest show about bathrooms. So we don't mention bathrooms at Disneyland Paris.
No, because I can't remember what any of them are like.
I don't think we ranked any of them in Disneyland Paris. We focus on Walt Disney World. But yeah, no, I think you're right, Simon. That Tangled attraction is sort of when you look at other Disney parks, and when you look at Mad Tea Party for Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, you've got Alien Swirling Saucers. I know in Animal Kingdom that part of the new Encanto area is going to have sort of flat ride. So does Epcot have one?
No.
It would have had with the Mary Poppins expansion.
Yeah.
But probably the less we talk about that, the better.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Let's gloss over the fact that got cancelled.
Yep. Still sore about that.
It might come back one day.
So the show that was the Frozen, that's the celebration in Arendelle, right? Which is the daytime show. But they do have the new Cascade of Lights.
They do.
Evening show as well, don't they?
Yeah, with aqua drones. So it's a drone show, which I have to admit, anytime when we went in 2022, it was for the 30th, where they introduced the drone shows. Anytime we were there in the evening, it was so windy, the drones weren't around. So we've not had a chance to experience drones that are in a Disney park. We've been to Universal and seen drone shows, but we've not had the chance to at Disney. But I'm impressed with what I've seen. Yeah. It feels, and as I mentioned earlier, the lake looks like World Showcase. Reminds me a little bit of World Showcase.
So it feels like what Harmonious was meant to be.
Okay. Or what they
could have done with it and didn't.
Or what they could have done in Animal Kingdom with
with that where Rivers of Light was.
Yeah. And what I like is that they've had these drones for quite a few years now, so 4 years at this point. But there's so much to it that it now has a nighttime show, which means you're going to be in the park later. Because how many times we've been in Walt Disney Studios Park and it will close at 6 p.m.
Yeah, and then everybody's loading back into.
Everyone's going to Disneyland Park because they want to watch the show on the castle. So I do have a video of.
Should split it.
So let's see what this show's like.
There is nothing more inspiring than coming together as one. Ensemble, on est plus fort. It is time. Let inspiration touch your heart.
See what Harmonious could have been.
Yep.
It does. It feels like what Harmonious should have been.
Yeah.
A little bit of World of Color from California Adventure, plus the drones. It just, it looks great. I think it's showing what they could do elsewhere, because I feel like they don't. Like Disneyland Paris does get that that evening show stuff quite. They do quite a good job there. I don't think you necessarily see that in the American parks being played out quite the same. You get a lot more of the feel and the emotional side with the Disney World and California Adventure show.
It is a shorter show. It is only about 14-15 minutes, which when you compare to World of Colour, which is like half an hour.
But when you're in France in the winter, it's freezing and you don't want to be standing outside for half an hour.
That is true. And if it's windy, not sure whether you get the full drones. But I have to admit, I think if they can do a show of this, it's really frustrating. Anytime I look at other parks and outside of sort of Disney World and look at Paris and then see what they do with the drones, then see what happens in like Hong Kong, Tokyo, Shanghai, and go like, I feel like Walt Disney World needs something new, but not just in one park. They need something in every park. I know it's more difficult in Animal Kingdom, and they tried it with Rivers of Light and World, and it just didn't fit. Things from a technical point of view didn't get off to a good start, and then people didn't know what to expect from it. And
you think that what they're achieving with Cascade of Lights is a 360 nighttime show. It doesn't have loads of fireworks.
Yep.
So how come they can do it? They can do it at Disneyland Paris. Why can't they transfer that to Animal Kingdom? Why? I don't know what doesn't gel about that idea with the American parks.
And could that have been something that Harmonious could have been? But I feel like they reverted to Luminous to have something where all the way through there's commentary explaining what is happening. And I think I love Luminous as a show. I feel like it's a better nighttime show than what Harmonious was, because the downside of Harmonious is depend on where you were, depends on what sort of view you're going to get. And at least with Illuminations, you had a much better thought of wherever you were around the lagoon, that you would have a good show of fireworks.
From what I'm seeing, Cascades of Light has that same, it doesn't matter where you're standing.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to see what it is, see what's going on.
And currently that show's on at 10:40 in the evening. So when you think that's 4.5 hours long, more than
big expansion on time.
So it probably is going to be a full-day park when you think of what else is in that park for you to do. Because I've kept an eye on the wait times the past few days because I wanted to see what effect this had on sort of Disneyland Paris. And I have to admit, the wait times in Disneyland Park have been quite low because everyone's going for World of Frozen.
One day at Disneyland Park needed.
And I've seen a lot of content, and there's, as with anything opening, things aren't always going to go right. There's World of Frozen, the attraction Frozen Ever After did have technical difficulties. There's always going to be something that isn't going to go well. But I feel like there's the buzz about this park that going forward, I'm excited to go back to Disneyland Paris at some point.
Yeah.
Whether that's right now, probably not. I think I want to wait until Lion King, because no matter how much I love Frozen, if they could have a Timon and Pumbaa animatronic that could become a meet and greet, or could become something, I don't know. There's a lot of things that in sort of the Lion King that they could do in that area, because we know that they've got an attraction which is sort of being built. There's a lot of construction happening of that now. When do we think that's going to open? It's announced it's being built, but what are we, 2026 now? I'm going 2028, maybe 2029. It's going to be interesting, and then whatever happens with that additional land, whether it be Star Wars, Avatar, or something completely different, I'm all for new expansions. And whether they decide to expand Frozen again and have another attraction to the right, or whether that could blend into something else.
It'd be nice if they did another attraction based on Frozen 2, or even 3 when it comes out.
All 4. Because then this is the franchise. When you think of what's happening, that Disney Adventure World, I know that we're not too keen on the name to begin with, but when you actually look at what's in there, you've got Toy Story Land. Yes, it's nowhere near as good as the one in Walt Disney World. You've got a lot of franchises that a lot of films are currently being made from. So there's a lot of hints in that show I think there's a focus on Moana, Frozen, Zootopia 2. So there's a lot of current things that can happen. Can you imagine a Zootopia land?
I was going to say they might just decide to bring Zootopia from Shanghai. Is it Shanghai?
Yeah, from Shanghai, which is one of the most popular lands there. Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
The things I'd seen with the new Lion King was it was 2027 due to open.
Oh wow!
Okay. So I don't know whether it will be the same sort of early kind of start of the year, first quarter of 2027, like they've done with the Frozen expansion. Yeah. So I guess we'll wait and see this year. Maybe they'll get a confirmation at D23 this August as to opening date for it.
Yeah.
But it'll be good to see a water ride like that that's out in the open in
Disneyland Paris.
Disneyland Paris, yeah.
I mean, is it only going to be open half the year?
Freezing cold Pirates ride. Yeah, who knows? You could. It must.
It's a water, I suppose. I think you could heat it.
There's going to be a bit where it's going to be open, but I think the majority of that's going to be enclosed. But it could be. Yeah. I've just got this vision, and all the concept art just points at this attraction being Pride Rock. And
yes,
the story I think is going to be what sells that attraction.
Needs to be.
And what I love is that they have decided to focus on the animation of Lion King, not of the live action versions that they did. Because I think it just makes more sense for them to have that more flexibility of what they can do. And everyone prefers, I think, the animation to the live action. Well, I know I do.
Yeah. It's the traditional. It's what made it popular.
Yeah.
I think the only bit was, I think some of the concept art sort of hinted at the characters looked more reminiscent of the 2019 live action, not the 94 animated version.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know where they'll go with the animatronics within the ride. Right, they might pull it back to the 90s version that is still probably more familiar to even younger children today. Are probably more familiar with the 90s animation.
Especially as Mufasa didn't do too well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know many Disney live action films that, apart from Lilo and Stitch, that have done really well. So much so that there's the first one must have done well for them to do a sequel or prequel. But it's more content at the end of the day, isn't it, for Disney to put on Disney Plus? So, yeah, I think that's another topic for another day. Do we think live action films are worth it or not?
We've had that topic before, I think, but it won't hurt to hit
they still keep bringing them out. So
we still keep going to watch them.
Yeah. So I think this past weekend felt like the moment that the second park finally earned its seat at the table when you compare it to other Disney parks. So if you're planning a trip for 2026 or 2027, I don't think you can treat this as a half-day park anymore.
No, I don't think so.
I think when you look at everything that's in there.
Yeah, and I've seen the amount of people. It's felt like everybody's gone back to Disneyland Paris this year. It felt like the latest update was somebody's off to DLP again. And it's been a long time, I think, since it's felt like people have had enthusiasm to want to go back to Disneyland. Yeah. Probably since post-COVID, when there was that period before we could really go back to the US and everybody was going, I need some Disney, so everybody was doing staycation cruises or Disneyland Paris. And I think it's the first time it's felt like there's more of a buzz coming back to people wanting to go. I mean, even our niece, she's only 4, but she's a big Frozen fan. She's seen the adverts and she keeps talking about, I want to go to the Frozen land. So she's even, Disney have played it well that they've even latched onto her understanding on the adverts enough to want to go to Disneyland Paris. So I don't think it will be long before we have something booked to go with my niece to go and do Disney.
I have to admit, if we didn't have a cruise book this year, we probably would be looking at Disneyland Paris at some point. But and this is the thing, I'm excited to go back to a park that we've not been to in a while. And even that I'm in that bit where it's like I want to wait for Lion King, because not that I don't like Frozen enough to want to go to Disneyland Paris. I feel like that once that's open as well, I know it might be even busy because everyone else wants to go see Lion King as well. I think there's just that other added thing to go and do. But yeah, so let us know in the comments if you enjoyed today's show. So don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future shows. And as it's April 1st, and I hope you've avoided as many April Fools as possible today.
I did. I didn't get any.
I really enjoyed the one from was it MCO with the installing of the zip line, which I thought was quite. Imagine that, just getting off your plane, getting off.
No, I don't like heights.
I did see one that wasn't Disney themed. That was, what was it? Dalek bread. Something to like garlic bread from Iceland.
Garlic bread at Iceland, yeah.
That was brilliant. I love that. Well, at least we've avoided that for another year. But as it is April 1st, we do have a very special show, as I mentioned earlier, and it's a strangely serious one. So we were ranking the best and worst rooms at Walt Disney World. So it sounds like an April Fool's joke, but I promise it's a guide that you actually might need for your next trip. So you can find that right here on YouTube. Also Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. So thank you again to everyone here, and both Becca and Simon. And I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we will see you soon.
See you real soon. And happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Now my wheels in motion and my